Okay, welcome back. This is going to be the part 2 to this little series on planning for postpartum. Why I'm taking it seriously, the things that I did last time, the things that I'm not going to do this time, and the things that I'm adding to layering up that postpartum support. I'm currently snuggled up in bed with a no longer totally hot cup of tea, but I'm still going to run with that. And I've got a massive list of things that I've been really thinking about, really pondering on, and this is going to be the part 2 because I couldn't even get through all of them last time. We've already spoken about nesting parties, meal trains, the 5-5-5 rule, preparing your kiddos, planning for bedtimes, meals, freezer meals, deep freeze purchases, and that kind of thing. So now I wanted to talk about how I'm going to help myself with the mental load. How am I going to make parenting easier with another baby? And this is going to start with a really ridiculous thing. That is getting a sliding door. And I know it sounds so silly, but from our kitchen, and I'm obviously not filming in the kitchen so you can't see this, but from our kitchen we have a beautiful big window which looks out into the garden. But we don't actually have access from that. So our kids will be outside and I can hear them, but I can't quite see them. And so for me to have to get up to go and see what's going on, I have to go all the way through the house, out through the front door, and all the way up and around the house, which it feels like nothing, but it's actually a pain in the bum when I'm like trying to cook or clean, or I'm in the middle of the dishes, or I'm in the middle of nursing a baby. And so for us, making parenting easier with the more kids we have, knowing how much time we spend in our garden, knowing I'm having a summer baby, we are going to get a sliding door so that I can just open it, call the kids, they come down, or I can have a little space outside where I can sit and feed the baby and watch what they're up to. They are not quite at the age yet where they can play totally independently. Our garden is contained, but they're always getting up to all sorts of precarious mischief and fun and play that requires my attention. And so having a garden that's really well contained and safe and I can observe them from, it's going to be so easy. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're actually having the guy come out and price that for us this evening. So trivial, might sound ridiculous, totally unapplicable for you if you don't need that, but having a yes space for your kids where you're not constantly like craning your head around looking for them, worried about them, listening out for them, is so good for your nervous system. And for me, getting outside as well, knowing that I will have a safe place. The goal is to have a sliding door and then like a little patio area so that I can have a comfortable place where I can sit and watch and read my book and feed the baby and get some sunshine is going to be so good for healing, for my circadian rhythm, for just that nervous system reset. I'm really looking forward to it. So the next thing for me, just in view of that, like, mental health, self-care stuff is, yes, we are having a baby in August, but very quickly I will have a newborn baby or a small baby, 2 very busy boys who we are now going to be 100% full-time homeschooling from September, and getting into the darker months. And I get really sad anyhow in the darker months. I am not a winter girl. I do not like the drizzly, grey, rainy days. And so for me, in minding myself postpartum, in being aware of my mental health postpartum and the hormone dump that can happen in the winter, we are going to book ourselves our first family holiday as a sun holiday right at the peak of that time. So we haven't quite figured out where we're going to go yet, and we're probably going to go with friends, so they also have small kids and they can play together and we can sort of share out the parenting load a little bit, maybe even get a date night or a date day in or a date lunch or something. But that is something that I've prioritized for myself this time around, just in knowing the timing that we have and in knowing how busy my boys now are. The next thing that I'm going to do, which is so obvious, and I maybe should have scattered this around, but obvious for me, is saying no to visitors. I did this really well the last time. I was like, it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm now feeling lonely. I want visitors for me to then invite them in. But the first time round, whether I just put out the feelers in the wrong way or maybe I invited them in, I can't even remember, but I was inundated from the minute that my baby was born with people coming in. And I really just needed to go back to bed. I needed to make that my phrase, I'm going back to bed, because I didn't rest at all, and I felt the need to host hugely. So no visitors for at least the first 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, we'll see. For me last time, I had to be really clear on that with my husband, because he likes to be out, he likes to be busy, he likes to see people, he's a little bit more extroverted than I am in many ways. And so I'm going to be really clear with him on that this time round, and that if he wants to go out and do something, he can, but also maybe capping it and creating a timeline for him so he knows what to expect, because he likes to know what's happening. And I think that that's going to be really helpful for him in knowing where we stand socially with guests this time round. The next thing that I have written in here is, last time we did like these like newborn photo shoots, and I'm looking back and I'm like, they're so cute. I'm not going to be leaving my house for one. My plan is to have an in-house photo shoot so that I can do it from my bed. Ideally like a fresh 48 when I'm still like in my jammies, you know, really like milk has just come in and I'm all just like such a mess with my newborn baby, because they are the photos that I want to look back on, and I think they're the ones that are more real. Okay, next thing, we have talked about hiring a cleaner this time around. For me, in terms of parenting and ease of parenting, I want things that are going to be, I want to check off other things on my list so that I can use any free time that I have to get to know my baby and to be with my other kiddos. And so in already outsourcing a lot of the cooking, I'm hoping that we can also outsource some of the cleaning. Anytime a friend of mine will check in with me, or a family member, and says like, hey, how can I support you? Do you need anything for this pregnancy? Do you need anything for this baby? I will say no. We have everything, and I'm going to make a whole other video on like my must-haves and essentials for small babies. But we really do have everything from our other little ones, and anything that we don't have, I will pick up secondhand. I'm not into bougie, expensive things that our babies grow out of so quickly. I don't like to spend money on those. I much prefer to spend money on braces or college or, you know, flute lessons, whatever it is they're interested in down the line, or just adventures in general. So for me this time round, I am going to spend some money on having a cleaner come in. Now, we have never had a cleaner, and right now that feels so scary to me. I feel like I want to like pre-clean, because our house is safe, but it's not tidy for like 90% of the time, because I would much rather lay on the floor and play Legos with my kids than tidy around them. I want them to remember me being present, not the tidy house. And obviously that works very different. If like it's good for your mental health to have a really clean house and a tidy space, then do it. But for me, I would much rather know that I've spent that time with my kids. So this time around, I'm hiring a cleaner, probably only to come like once a week, maybe to do one like nice deep clean while I'm really heavily pregnant, so that we're starting from a really good place. But I'm really excited about that. I feel like looking around my home while I'm sitting and nursing my baby and not seeing like mess is going to be so good for my head. And so we are planning and putting money aside for that ahead of time. The real beauty in pregnancy is that we have 9 months, if not more, to prepare. And so this time around, I've been really good and really diligent at putting even like €5 a month aside, or, you know, a couple of euro aside for X, Y, and Z, so that we can plan for an easier period this time around. And hopefully it will be something that we can maintain. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but we have somebody, and it's just really exciting. So that's something I would consider for sure. And then I suppose how to manage that moving forward, I don't really know whether I will be like still in bed, whether I'll have them come maybe a few weeks after, so I can be maybe out with the kids and come home to a nice clean house. I feel like wouldn't want them like cleaning around me. That would make me uncomfortable. We'll see. But hiring a cleaner, hiring a doula, hiring some support is going to look different for every person. It's going to be whatever your tics are. For me, having a cleaner is one less thing to do. So already now I don't have to cook and I don't have to clean for X amount of time, you know, within reason. You might also have to consider hiring out like a laundry service, someone who will come and take your clothes and like wash them and bring them back clean and folded. For me, we actually plan on, the next thing on my list is decluttering and minimizing a huge amount in our space. We already have gone through a lot of the kids' clothes and gotten rid of a lot of their stuff, but I feel like it's something we have to do quite frequently. But just having like the 5-5-5 rule for them, so like 5 short sleeve tops, 5 long sleeve tops, 5 pairs of knickers, 5 pairs of socks. And because the way that we do laundry is we do 1 load a day, it's so much easier to then stay on top of that, because it's not, by the time we need to do, we are behind on our laundry, we now don't have clothing, so we need to stay going with that, with doing that. And it's never like I have piles of laundry that I need to manage, because for me it was always the putting away. Like I could throw the laundry into the wash, no problem, but the putting away afterwards was always so difficult. So I need to do that with myself. I've actually been on the hunt for some nice like dresses, because that's typically what I wear in pregnancy, so I can just have like 5 dresses in rotation that are comfortable, that I just throw a cardi over and some leggings underneath, and I don't have to think about my outfits. So that's like a mental check the box that I don't have to do, but also the cleaning is so much more manageable as well, and just the space that it takes up. Looking at like a clear decluttered space and knowing what's in every cupboard, I can't even imagine how good that would feel. So we're going to be knee deep in decluttering every opportunity that we have. And I think the last thing then, 2 things. I wanted to touch on bleeding. For me, last time my bleeding was fairly minimal, and then I would notice, say if I like was doing too much, or I was up and I was maybe walking a little bit more than I had been, or moving around maybe more than I had been, that my bleeding would pick up. One of the things I really disliked doing was wearing like synthetic pads. And I used actually the ones from Care last time, and they are lovely, they are fine, but the plastic backing on them, I didn't enjoy, like the sensation, the smell of them coming out of the package. Some of them are even scented, so beware of that. It didn't feel good to me. So my plan this time is to do a little bit of free bleeding. So to get the incontinence sheets or the puppy pads that I would have had for my home birth and just lay them on the bed and free bleed onto the sheets whenever I can, and then just chuck them in the bin. So to just like let that happen, and then as opposed to like the sweaty warmth, which is so not good for possibly like encouraging infection and whatever, that breeding ground of warmth and darkness is ideal. But also considering postpartum pants or underwear. I have 1 pair from, maybe 2 from Modibody, I think is what it's called, and they are so lovely and so comfortable. I nearly would wear them every single day, but I use those as period pants. And so I think they have postpartum pants, which I might consider investing in, that I think will be so lovely. And again, you just put them into the wash. The only difficulty with these, and the caveat that I will have from like a healthcare perspective, is that the ones that I ordered were black. So of course you can't assess your bleeding quite in the same way, and so this would be maybe more towards the tail end of your lochia, that postpartum bleed. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to talk about was warmth. Even though we are having like a summertime baby, I plan on turning the heating on if I need to. I'm going to be wearing cozy warm socks. We're going to have the stove lit, cozy blankets, warm water, some broth beside me at all times to sip away on, warm meals, heating pads. The idea with that warmth is that it's conducive to the healing that needs to happen. And I love that skin to skin cuddle with my baby, and I would love to not dress them for a really long period of time. With Archer, I don't think we dressed him for the first week at least, and we just like snuggled him skin to skin, and it was so sweet. And absolutely one of the things that I remember about that time, like I remember his smell and the softness of his skin on mine. And skin to skin is so wonderful for so many things. It's so great for regulating their blood sugar level, their temperature, but also for like connection, for milk production. And for me, that's something that I'm really, really looking forward to about having another little baby. So warmth and keeping the house nice and toasty warm is going to be hugely important for us. Okay, that was a really long video. That's like 40 minutes in total with the other video. I hope you've enjoyed this. I will leave the links of anything that I've discussed down below, along with my free postpartum care plan. And I hope you found this helpful and got some ideas. If you are expecting your baby soon, or are planning on using any of these tips of advice, leave a little comment down below which one you find most helpful and what you plan on doing, or anything that I haven't yet thought about. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for following me, and I'll see you in the next video.